that together. Okay, so I want to play a game with you guys.
Ooh,
We're gonna play person, place, or thing. Has anyone ever played that game before? No?
that does not sound familiar to me.
No, Jonathan,
Okay.
but the last game we played, my goodness. I'm getting a pen and a pad right now. I'm ready.
It is kind of similar to that game, so be ready.
Oh,
Okay.
goodness.
So the way this game works is it's going to be what, three against one? One of you guys is going to go into a breakout room while the other three of us decide if we want you to be a person, place, or thing. I'm going to then let you back into this room, and you're going to have 5 minutes to figure out A, are you a person, place, or thing? Someone else coming in. And B, what you are. Now, through figuring that out, you're only allowed to ask yes or no questions.
Oh,
But of
my
course, your
goodness.
first question should always be, am I a person, place, or thing? So that way it can narrow it down for you, obviously.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'll start a 5 minute timer once you get back in, and there is a prize. I'm not going to tell you what it is now, but I'll tell you what it is at the end of the meeting. So, having explained that, I don't. Okay, so who wants to volunteer to be our guesser or player or whatever?
I'll go first into the breakout room and I'll guess first.
Okay, it's only going to be
Okay.
one round, so you're going to be the one guessing for the whole game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't have time. We could play several rounds, but these meetings are only
Okay.
so long. So
So how long am I going to be in the room?
we're
Or
going to take maybe like 10, 20 seconds to figure out what you're going to be, and then I'll just let you back in.
okay.
Okay, just a sec while I separate you. Um, okay, does that work?
Okay.
Did you move yet? Oh, shoot. This is my first time doing a breakout room. Sorry. Move to. Hmm. Do you have to press join, Sierra, on your end? No. Sierra. There we go. Okay. Okay. So do we want Sierra to be a person, place, or thing?
Is this related to the book or can it be anything?
Anything you want. Nothing too complicated, obviously, but anything you want.
Right? Should we like maybe make her a mythological creature, not a mermaid, but something similar?
Oh, an
Okay. And what should that thing be?
elf.
Elf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Hopefully you heard that, Ace. We're gonna make Sierra an elf, and she's able to ask yes or no questions to figure out what she is.
Okay. All right.
Cool, cool,
Okay. Gotcha.
cool.
Wait. So before we let her in,
Hmm.
is she a person or is she a thing? Because if
Mm.
a
Oh,
person would be like maybe like an actual person, right? So maybe we can think of an actual elf, or is that too complicated?
Let's do a thing, but I'll tell her it's a mythological thing.
okay.
Okay. Cool.
That makes sense.
Cool. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Now let's see if I can figure out how to get her back in here. um, I think I just pressed close all rooms. Let's see. Give her just a second to get back. There she is. Okay. Sierra, are you ready?
Hello.
Yes. So you ready to start guessing?
Yes, I was in room number two. They called me back. I didn't hear anything. I just left the room.
Yeah, this is still kind of confusing, but as we play more, hopefully I'll get a better handle on breakout rooms.
Okay. Well, I'm ready whenever you guys all are.
Okay. So I'm going to set a 5-minute timer. Your first question should be, are you a person, place, or thing? After that, it's only yes or no questions. You'll have 5 minutes. If you win, you get the prize. If you don't win, there's no punishment, so don't worry.
Okay.
Okay? Ready, set, go.
Am I a person, place, or thing?
You are a mythological thing.
A mythological thing.
Mm-hmm.
Am I a food item? Is that correct?
No.
Am I mythological
Mm-hmm.
item?
Not item, thing.
Am oh a thing? Can I have a clue?
Yeah, it's kind of hard. So I'll say this thing that is not real. It looks somewhat human, but it's not fully human.
Um, a dragon?
No.
Um,
Yeah, good guess.
um, uh, unicorn?
No.
A mermaid.
No.
A mermaid.
That's a good
Mm-mm.
guess, though.
Yeah, good guess.
Um, oh gosh. A phoenix?
Mm-mm, no.
Mhm.
Um, what could I be? A fairy? That's a
No.
mythological. Um,
You're getting closer, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they look human.
Mm-hmm. I will also say, Sierra, usually it helps when you just start asking questions about like how this thing looks, where you'd find it, et cetera, et cetera. That usually gets you closer
okay.
to
Okay,
the
how
answer.
does this thing look?
Not like that. I mean, like, does this thing wear clothes? Does this thing,
Okay,
et cetera?
okay. Does this thing swim in water?
No.
Is that some okay? Does this thing wear clothes?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Does this thing eat human food?
Hmm. Does anyone know?
Um,
Like, maybe sometimes?
sometimes it depends on the context and the source material.
I think that'll just be a no, just to kind of keep it easy for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I give a
Mm-mm, don't give
Medusa.
up.
A Medusa.
No.
Oh, that
No.
would have been cool too.
That would
A
have been cool, yeah.
goddess. A goddess. Well, a goddess would
No.
that wouldn't be like
Now you're going the wrong direction. You were close earlier.
I said fairies. I said
Mm-hmm.
unicorns.
Mm-hmm.
I said mermaids.
Mm-hmm. You're on the right
Um,
track.
I don't know, guys. I can't even begin to think.
You have another minute. You can just
Maybe
guess random
Um,
stuff.
what does it do? Is that a question? Like, what
well,
does the
Mm,
creature do?
has to be yes or no only.
Oh, right. Oh God. Does it eat? You guys say yes or no?
For eating
Sometimes.
human food, no. It does eat though.
I don't know. I want to say a merman so bad. I don't. Um,
Mm-mm.
what does it do? Does it shed skin or something? I don't know.
Does it touch skin, you said?
Shed skin or something. Shed or something. I don't know, guys.
No.
no.
What
Mm-mm.
was it?
You have 20 seconds.
Um, Does it come out in the light or day? Is it
Hmm,
like a does it come out during the day more at night?
I don't know. Do you know, Shiloh?
It depends on the type, but they're not known to be specifically nocturnal or day in the daytime. So it can go out in the day.
There's your timer. Final guess?
I don't have one, Jonathan.
No?
I want to say merman so bad, but I know that's not it.
What
What
was it,
is
Shiloh?
it?
It was an elf.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness.
You were
Started to
so
say
close, yeah.
fairies.
You're
And no, when
so
you guys,
close.
oh my goodness. Because I was like, I was thinking Elf Christmas. Lord have mercy. I don't know. Oh
And
my gosh.
it's like with the
Yes.
food, like if you think about it in the Lord of the Rings thing, they have their own food, like the lembas bread, which is like supposed to be a very nutritious bread. Like humans can eat it, but not like a
Right.
human food, and they don't really need sustenance or like sleep. They just kind of
Mm,
exist.
And see,
mm.
listen, I wasn't even thinking that what was this, a mythological creature?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would have never ever thought a elf, really honestly. Forgive me, I'm thinking elf and Christmas. My oh gosh, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
That was fun.
Eventually, we'll play that again, and it'll obviously be somebody else and something else. But yeah, it's a very fun game. It
That's a good icebreaker.
And yeah, that
is.
was so fun. I like
It
that one,
makes it even
Jonathan.
more fun when it's like you do like R-rated things. I remember I played with some friends, and I was a dick. I was like, okay, sure, why not? And of course, I didn't get that, so shame on me. Okie dokie. So let's talk about our book. What did you two think of this month's book, When the Tides Held the Moon by Venessa Vida Kelley?
I was obsessed with it. I was telling anybody who would listen that they need to read it, but not only like do the audiobook. I was like, no, you need to get an actual copy of the book because of the illustrations. I think the illustrations were probably my favorite part of the book at some point because I loved the art style, the Art Nouveau, like the 1910s, like theme to it. It was gorgeous.
I would agree. I purchased the book, and if I'm being completely honest, when I purchased the book, I think the book may have been maybe about I think I paid maybe 40 something dollars for the book, right? So I was just like, oh my goodness, 40 something dollars. Usually the books is about
Mhm.
maybe $18. But when I open up the book, the illustrations on the pages to me are just so gorgeous. Like at first I just thought about just having the audiobook, but I really enjoyed the illustrations on the pages. But I just also just love the merman. Like I was in such disbelief. I did not think that they were going to be together, but I really enjoyed this book a lot. I really enjoyed the merman the most.
I love that even at the end of the book, I think cuz I don't think Ace is here. Yeah, I think they left. That we still don't know like his true name. Like I love that it was like a mystery, just kind of something between them that only they know. It's just like little secret between the couple and it's so cute and the way that Benny like just described him, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, he really loves him." It's so cute.
It's so funny that you say that about his name because I still feel like how could they have been in such deep love like this and you still don't know what his real name is? Now, I don't know if I'm tripping. I mean, I get it, but it's just like, really, you can't tell me what your real name is? Like, we here, we've made it this far, and you can't still tell me what your real name is. I don't know about that part.
Yeah. No, I definitely am just like, why can't we see? But also, I'm like, why? Like, what is it? Like, did the author have something that like was like she just kind of like kept to herself, or like did she really just not come up with like a the true name of Rio?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that Rio shares his real name with Benny, just Benny doesn't tell us, the reader. but you
Right.
think that he does tell him.
Yes.
Honestly, I mean, I know you said you were happy with that, Shiloh. As someone who's very nosy, I wanted to know what it was, but it is
Yes,
also like I'm assuming because it's a mermaid language, I probably couldn't pronounce it anyway, so it probably doesn't matter.
Maybe it's just like
But
all noises.
yeah. I will say that I really did enjoy the book. I do have to say though, first, obviously, I love the illustrations, like you guys said. But the little like I don't know what you call them, the inner pages, like before you actually get to the book, the like hardcover inside parts that has the
Mhm.
drawings on them. That kind of spoiled the ending for me because if you look at it, the one on the front has everything and Benny in like a yellowy color scheme. And then the one on the back has half of the park in yellow, half in blue. And then both Rio and Benny are in blue. And then throughout the story, only Rio is blue.
Oh,
So I
wait,
kind of assumed, okay, he's going to be a mermaid at the end.
wait. Can you explain that again, Jonathan? You said from what
Yeah.
pages did you gather that information from?
So when you first open the hardcover copy,
Uh-huh.
the illustrations that are on the inside of the hardcover
Uh-huh.
front part, everything is yellow. It's like a
Got you.
yellow
Yes.
goldish color scheme. If you
Yes.
go to the back of the book, half of the park is yellow, half of it is blue. And then throughout the
Jonathan.
story, the only character that's drawn as blue is Rio.
Oh my
So,
goodness. You're
no.
too
yeah.
good. I would have never put that together like that. Never.
So I rented I'm purchasing the book now, but I rented my
Mhm,
book from the library. So the dust
mhm.
cover is taped to it.
Oh,
And
got
so
it.
the part that's hidden, I didn't can't even see Benny or Rio on either the cover. So I didn't
Mm.
even I'm like trying to like look past the dust cover by looking the tape because I had to return the book like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that.
After the meeting, I'll take a picture of my hardcover and post it on Discord so you can see what that looks like.
Mhm.
That's
Uh,
so
but
funny.
yeah, I mean, outside of that, I really enjoyed it. We've also read other mermaid stories in here before that have similar endings. So I think, like I said on Discord, it wasn't like a shocking ending, but it was still a very enjoyable book, although a bit predictable.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree, but sometimes it's just nice to read something like I know what's gonna
mm,
happen and I'm hoping for a happy
mhm,
ending and getting what you want.
mm. Yeah, very
Now,
much so. I mean, no, go ahead,
can
Sierra.
can I say something about that? Like
Yeah.
when I read the book, I don't necessarily try to figure out like how it's going to end. I kind of like read the book and let it tell me what it's going to, I guess, tell me, like let the book reveal itself to me.
Mm.
Like, so when you guys say like, oh, I kind of knew it was going to be this, I'm like, I've never seen it coming. Probably because, probably because most times I don't care what the book is. I'm 9 times out of 10, I like to be shocked. And so I
Mhm.
don't think that I most times read the book trying to predict what the end will be like. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
messing it up, like that though.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, you will never trick me, author. I will always be a step ahead of you.
When the book got really good and I started not skipping it, but my eyes just kept wanting to keep moving forward. So eventually I had to like
Hmm.
put my hand over the right side of the book while I'm reading the left-handed page so that I would
Hmm.
stop like trying to read ahead of myself because I was just trying to get through because it was like that really big action scene at the end. So it's like, what's gonna happen next? And I kept spoiling myself. So I had to like stop myself from reading too far ahead before I got to that section.
Yeah, I feel you. It's like I had to stop myself from like glancing over at the illustration if it took place after what I was
Mhm.
reading,
Mhm.
to not like spoil things for myself. But I don't know. I haven't read a picture book in, I don't know, over 20 years. So, so we're just talking about general thoughts of the story. Did you have any to share?
Yeah, I really like the book. It's definitely not something that I would have read myself. I'm not typically into a lot of like fantasy. I am into like sci-fi type stuff, which is kind of similar. Um, So I will be honest, for a lot of the book, I liked it, but I wasn't like super into it. And then the last pages with like the whole escape, I was really into that. But I really, really
Mm.
loved the illustrations. They were very cool.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, totally. And I will just say before moving on that I know I called it predictable, and like you were saying, Shiloh, predictable isn't always bad. I mean, it's nice to kind of be able to turn your brain off and relax into a story as
Yeah.
opposed to like waiting for some like big twist. Like most of our stories usually involve some kind of twist. But yeah. Um, okay. Now I know we talked a bit about the illustrations in the book. I'm curious, how do you think the illustrations help the story, and which illustration was your favorite?
I'm like trying to flip through to remember which one was my favorite. I think the illustrations did help. I mean, as someone who reads a lot of like graphic novels, I always love a good illustration. Sometimes it's like I like to put what I think the characters look like in my own head to use, but with this it was really nice to just be able to see like what was the author like intending to tell us. But I think my favorite illustration, trying to find it's the one where Benny. It's either the one where Benny was dreaming and Rio was there, so it's kind of like Rio's like floating into his room. Which where is that one? I don't remember which one that one is. Or it is the one where all of the menagerie are sitting at the dinner table, kind of like for the first time. So you get to see all of the different characters and see how unique they are, and it really like drives in that visual element of like everybody's so different and unique, but they all are still like one family sitting at the dinner table together. That one I have on page 82 for reference.
Yeah, I really like the illustrations. Shiloh was saying, sometimes I do like to imagine the characters through my own brain, but sometimes I have a hard time doing that. I feel like as I'm reading, I don't quite see it in my head that often. Um, so it is cool to like actually see them. And I would say for my favorite illustration, it was probably the dinner table one. I found that really cool to see like this table, these quote unquote misfits and how they all really formed a family. I thought that was really cool.
Okay, so I would say I have a couple of them. I'm trying to find my favorite one. I believe it was one where I believe it was his first time seeing the merman, well, Rio, and they were in like in front of a fish tank. I can't find that, but when I find the page, I will let you guys know. But I think that right now, if you look on page 214, I believe this is the merman and Benny. I want to say he's dreaming about him. It looked like he's coming to him in his sleep. I think that this one is so cute to me. I think I would say that is my favorite one as well. But then I truly, truly love the cover. I don't know what it is about the cover, but I just ultimately love the cover as well. I just really love that. I just love the color. You can actually see the color of the merman of Rio. But I'm gonna look further more in the book and find the one that I'm talking about that's really my favorite. And I believe it's the first time when he sees Rio.
The other thing too that I forgot to mention is that I really liked how the only color that was really used was blue. And like it was mostly Rio being blue. I really like that kind of detail to it.
It's funny that you say that, Soul, because we were just talking about that before you got back in here. Um, yeah, I think that the illustrations really did help the story. I mean, I'm not someone who reads a lot of graphic novels or picture books like you were saying, Shiloh, but I am someone who watches a lot of movies. So when I'm reading a book, I oftentimes imagine it in my mind as if it were a movie. So I'm like coming up with settings and how certain characters look and blah 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 blah. So not having to do that with this book was interesting and kind of a nice change. Um, and I will say there were some times where maybe uh, the setting or certain things that characters were doing were a little bit unclear to me. The pictures were nice to reference, so I can get a clear understanding of what's going on. And I will say my favorite is I guess you'd call it sex scene with Rio and Benny. Not because it's a sex scene, but because I was very confused as to like what that looked like. So it was nice to like get an actual like physical representation of what that looks like. Um, so yeah.
What
Now,
page is that, Jonathan?
the sex scene.
Yeah.
I don't have my physical book. It's on my shelf. Um,
Okay. But
it'd
my
be like
I
probably towards the middle, I'd imagine.
okay. And I did find the one that I liked the most. It's on page 99 if you guys have a moment to look. Oh, 298 is what it
That's what
says.
Shiloh
Okay.
says, 298.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that.
You must have loved that scene too, Shiloh. You know the exact page number. Like, damn.
I thought it was very cute. I was also just flipping through the specific illustrations, and since that one took like a whole page, it was kind of easy to find. But you know, that one was so cute, like them cuddling
Yeah.
after, and the use of just blue is really nice. But I
Mm.
just really like the Art Nouveau style of also the like the chapter cover, not the chapter covers, but like the border on the first page of each chapter. I
Hmm.
thought was really pretty too. Like it's the cage, but also like just a little bit of like waves at the bottom is really nice. I liked that.
Yeah. I'll also say the illustrations, I guess, kind of put you in the mind frame of the story. I
Mhm.
was looking a bit more into like illustrated books, and apparently every book, even adult books prior to like the 1920s, had illustrations. Um, which I had no idea
So
about that, but it is nice to like almost imagine this book as if it's I'm grabbing it from the actual 1910s when it was set to take place. Um, so yeah. Also, I found out on the author's Instagram that she drew over 100 illustrations for the book. These are just the ones that made it
yeah,
in.
I think when I was
Mhm.
looking up certain characters, I saw some other art from her or like different like,
Mhm,
cover variations that weren't
mhm,
included that I thought were really interesting. There's one where it's kind of like I'll have to see if I can find it, but like all of the characters have like their own little like circle cut out. Let me see if I
mm.
can post it.
Yeah, what I think that we got to see it a little bit when Benny was in the theater of their own individual posters, but they were kind of small. I wish we had seen them like way closer.
Mhm. And I know the author is making a special edition of the book that has, I don't know about all the illustrations, but has like tons more than this one has.
Mm.
So if anybody wants to purchase that, I guess there you go. um, yeah. Okay, let's talk about our main characters, Benny and Rio. Starting with Benny. General thoughts on Benny as a character in this story.
I would say I enjoyed Benny. I liked how I think my favorite part of the book about Benny was when he was given the merman, the fish. Like I believe that I think he took attention to that the merman wasn't eating the fish or didn't like the fish or something of that nature. So I did like how attentive Benny was in regards to the merman. So I would say I like Benny's characters throughout the book.
I really liked Benny. I think he uh I liked that he took like such special care and like Sierra was saying, like even it when Rio wasn't the nicest to him, he still like was making an effort and he kind of like had to sit with the guilt of like he's the reason like Benny's the reason why Rio is in the cage because he like actually made it And I think he like did his best to also try to get along with everybody, which I appreciated because he kind of knew like he was an outsider amongst outsiders at times, being because he was from Puerto Rico. I think that put him in an even more out category. But I think I really liked him as a main character.
I also liked Benny. I felt like in some other books that we read that are a little bit more like romance books, there is like sometimes the main character is really passive. And although things were happening to Benny that he had no control over, it didn't feel like he was just a passive character. It did feel like he still had like ownership of his decisions and what he was saying at times, particularly when it came to Rio, and that he was like taking that active like it is my duty to eventually save Rio. So I really liked him. I liked what he looked like, which was cool to see him in the art.
Yeah, I also liked Benny. I think you make a great point, Saul, sorry, about Benny not being passive. I would argue that he perhaps starts off that way, but over the course of the story, I think he begins to realize how important it is that he does stick up for himself. Um, and he does that, which is a nice change. He could have easily been, like you're saying, very passive, poorly written character. Um, and yeah, to agree with you, Saul, Benny was very sexy. Very, very handsome man. Uh, now Rio. General thoughts on Rio in this story.
I really love the merman. I think I'd liked him. I think number one, because I feel like he made Benny kind of figure out who he was. Maybe not so much figure out, but made him more comfortable about, his sexuality, I would say, and his love interest, I would say. But I liked his intensity and his passion in regards to maybe whatever he was speaking about or whatever it is that he was talking about. To me, he just seemed like every time he spoke to Vinny, it was just very intense and very passionate. Now, I think that the merman was kind of sexy to me because the way they described his hair and his skin and all of those things, I feel like if I had to pick, I would go with the merman. But I really liked him. I did.
I feel like at first I didn't know what to think about him because he was just kind of like grumpy, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like I didn't like when he was aggressive towards Benny, but I definitely understood where he's coming from. But he quickly, I think, grew on me, and I agree with Sierra. I like redheads sometimes. I think I think he was a very well drawn, and I love like the descriptions of like his like luminescence of his scales, and I like his like chosen silence. I think that it's because mermaids are like known for the voices. His chosen silence was very specific, and I liked that.
Ooh, I really love that what you just said about the voice. That didn't connect, but that's super awesome. I really did like Rio too. Love the illustration, of course. Um, and I wish that we had would have known more. I mean, he did offer a lot about like mer people. But I wish that we had even more lore on mermaids. I can't say that I know too much besides watching The Little Mermaid about what mermaids do. So it was really cool to like see also because and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit longer. I still don't fully understand what his real name was and if his real name was just a song. But it was really cool to learn about like the fact that they live in harmonies and can heal and can purify water. Like that was all super cool to learn about Rio. And I definitely understood why he was so violent and upset, with his mom being murdered and everything. Um, and I wish that they could just all hung out as like the menagerie. So I wish that maybe he would have given in a little bit more, and Benny himself also trusted more of the people, so that it could have been more a collective thing. Because it seemed like after Benny told everyone, everyone was so cool with it. Um, but obviously, it's the story has to develop. But yeah, I really like Rio.
Yeah, I also liked Rio. I will say just in terms of realism, it's a fantasy story, so obviously I'm not checking for too much realism, but I do think maybe Rio could have put up a little bit more of a fight in terms of like letting his walls down with Benny. Um, he kind of got over the fact that Benny like helped kidnap him and kill his mother very, very quickly, which is a little odd, but it's okay, I guess. Um, yeah, uh, Rio I did like. I will also say though that I was a bit confused since you're talking about the mother. So, um, Rio kept saying he would see her again one day. I wasn't sure if that meant that like there's a way to resurrect her or that like what exactly does that mean? Will she be reborn? That wasn't very clear to me. Also, I do think the chapters that were in Rio's perspective could have been a lot longer. And I think we could have got a lot more information, like you were just saying, so about Mer life and the Mer world through his chapters, as opposed to him always just talking about Benny. But it's a romance story, so I guess I'll give it a break there. Um, okay, now we don't really have enough of the other characters to talk about them at length, but outside of our two main characters, Benny and Rio, what other characters were your favorite?
I really liked Vera. Maybe it's the non-binary in me, but having Vera like be like always wanting to wear pants or like drawing on a mustache with like a burnt match or something, I thought that was very that was just very fun to me. And we didn't get to really see her much in some of the illustrations, but in some of the other ones I've seen online, like she's always like wearing pants, and so it feels very counterculture to me. And I think if I remember correctly, she also like was married really young at 19. Then she kind of like ran away. So she just feels like this very cool rebel that of the time. Like she still, I think, fit into societal norms when she needed to, but outside of like performance, she was very countercultured. I really liked her attitude.
I would say, was it the couple? I think their name was it Emmett and Eli? I think they were passing as I think like was it best friends? Or was it brothers or something? Something of that nature.
Twins.
Yes, twins. Okay, so they were passing as twins, but they were really a couple. I think that I like them most outside of anybody else that I can think of off the top of my head.
It's hard to choose, honestly. They all like once we got a little bit more of their background, like both Emmett and Eli. Like I thought their background story was cool. I also loved the budding romance of Igor, and I can't remember the Madame's name. Um,
Navia.
yes, and then I also maybe my favorite out of all of them maybe was Lulu. I thought that she was really interesting as a character, and I think I'm not sure how to say this, but it did make me feel sympathetic and sad for her as she maybe had the characteristic that maybe was the least like sideshowy almost. So it felt like she had a lot to lose, right? Because then she eventually added a beard to her show. Um, so it did feel like I did feel bad for her, and I also loved the little boy. I thought he was so funny. So I kind of like their combo too. And since she was kind of like the mother of the house, I really liked her and how nurturing she was.
Nice. You guys thought about each character pretty extensively. Good for you guys. I have to say my favorite character was Madame Navia. I don't know. She was like very like cute and very like diva-ish to me, which I thought was fun to like play with and watch her interact with different characters, especially her and Timmy, the little like rivalry, I guess, so to speak, that she was having with him was cute and fun to read. Um, and I've got to give the author props. I mean, writing an ensemble of characters can be difficult if we're not getting stories from their perspectives because other characters can feel kind of like an afterthought or underdeveloped. But I do appreciate how the author took time to write Benny having individual, like one-on-one moments with each character in the ensemble. Um, and that really helped to like not make them feel underdeveloped. So yeah, I really appreciated that. Um, Now, Shiloh, you were saying with Vera, you like the non-binary rep. I gotta say, I was a bit confused with Vera. I wasn't sure if we were looking at someone who was non-binary or someone who was gender fluid. Um, I guess I don't have the most extensive understanding of the difference, but I do believe there is a difference. Maybe you can shed a light on that.
So, in general, non-binary is kind of can kind of encapture a bunch of different genders. So, gender fluid could be underneath that at times. To me, Vera felt like somebody who was assigned female at birth, but at the time they didn't have that language, and so coming from like a 2026 perspective, when she had that conversation with Benny about how like she doesn't really feel fully woman or male, so I just kind of use, I think, non-binary as just like a general term because she didn't have the language to like have a specific identity, but the fact that she mostly feels more comfortable in pants or like that mustache scene, which cracked me up. I think there's like something just very like that a kinship that I felt with her because as somebody who also is just like doesn't feel very like one way or another. I just like the fact that she's like, yeah, like on stage she like wears like a dress and is very like feminine, but off stage she just like has a lot more like curtness and very like unladylike, and I'm using air quotes, but like unladylike attitude about her that I just really appreciated that.
I think your mic cut out a little bit, Shiloh.
Oh no. I was just saying I just appreciated the like non-binary representation as much as 1910s New York could, I think, say without being too like jarring in the difference in the 2026
Mm.
understanding of gender identity versus like a 1910s understanding.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, and also, I guess before we move on, I know, Saul, you mentioned Rio not sharing his full name. We talked about that a little bit, and I think we came to the consensus that he tells Benny what his name is, but Benny makes a choice not to tell us. I guess to kind of respect Rio's wishes to not have his name shared so willingly. Um, which also makes me think a bit more about language. Obviously, we're focusing on a main character who is an immigrant and someone who has had to learn English very quickly, coming from a Spanish speaking part of the world. Um, there's this poem, and unfortunately, I can't remember the poet's name right now, but of this woman, she's a Mexican American, a Mexican immigrant. And she talks about like how she makes an intention not to learn, I guess, what you would consider proper English. And she's totally fine speaking in broken English because she doesn't want to let the colonizer colonize her tongue. Um, and I'm finding a lot of connections with her poem and then Rio refusing to kind of give up his voice, his song, his name so willingly to humans. Um, so yeah, you just reminded me of that soul. So thanks.
That's
um,
awesome. Thank you for like going back and filling me in. Because I didn't even think about that. I was just like, I guess his name is like unspeakable and can only be like mind shared in some way.
mhm.
So that's what I thought was realistic. But as you're talking about names, it did make me think about the fact that no one also calls Benny by his name, by his like actual Spanish name, except for Rio. Um, so that's interesting to think about.
Hmm. Wow. Good connection, Soul. Good for you. Now, a common complaint I see online in regards to this book, a lot of people feel that Benny doesn't spend that much time with the group to feel so close to them emotionally and to feel like they're his family. Do you all agree with that, or do you think that we get enough time with him, with the group, to feel like a family?
You know, now that you said that, I don't think so. I feel like mostly I think that he spent a lot of time either with the merman or maybe doing something for him. But I feel like a lot of the book was based to me with him spending like a lot of time with the mermaid. He would do certain things, you know, with the other people in the book, but I feel like most of the time was spent with Rio.
I do think that I really liked the relationship between Benny and Emmett and how there was like a lot of tension, but I think there was a lot of just like assumption that he fit in really quickly, where I do think it would have been nice if he had spent a little bit more time, even if there's more of like somewhat of a time skip, but then we were also on, I think, just like a limited time borrowing because we had to get Rio back to the water. But I like that they had those individual moments, but it seemed like everybody was just like, I did note that, like, oh, they're all just so cool with him and Rio having a relationship, and no one was really like, "Are you a merman? Like, are you sure?" Like, everybody just kind of like accepted him very quickly to the point where it might have been too quick.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit torn. I mean, I, of course, would have liked more time, or more moments, I should say, between Benny and the rest of the ensemble. But I think it's ample enough time. Like you were just mentioning, Shiloh, I think the issue between Emmett and Benny was a little bit of jealousy. I think Emmett is someone that's had to fight so hard. I mean, he literally lost his leg, he rescued his lover from an abusive household, just to find a troupe that accepts him. And then Benny is someone that just like comes in and automatically everyone loves him. I could understand a little bit of resentment or jealousy in regards to that. Um, and I will also say, in regards to Benny, I guess, loving the family too quickly, I think Benny's someone that hasn't had a lot of family. Benny doesn't even know who his real biological parents are, or really any of his backstory. All he knows is his Titi Luz, some woman who may or may not actually be a blood relative, and she's passed away. So I think he was very quickly willing to latch on to anyone who kind of showed support. I mean, he's experienced a lot of racism, a lot of, uh, he's been a social outcast since coming to New York City. So I do think that he was just kind of ready to find people to love on. So it didn't bother me like maybe it would bother other people. Oh, there's Grace. Give me just a minute to let them in. Um, Hey Grace, we're kind of in the swing of things. Do you have any general thoughts in the book you want to share?
I loved it. That's all. So very sweet and cute, and loved all the illustrations. And that is how I felt about the book.
Nice. We were just talking about a complaint that I saw frequently online in regards to this book. A lot of reviews feel as if Benny does not spend enough time with the group to accept them as family so quickly. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with that?
I would say when you're lonely and people are nice to you, sometimes it doesn't really require that much effort to make them feel like they're family. Especially whenever you are someone who's like a stranger in a strange land. You have never really had a lot of folks in your life before that actually just kind of accept you and then break bread with you. And I would say that it might be strange to someone that maybe have had a good upbringing and a good family life, but for found family situations, I would say probably not so much. I think it made sense to me.
Funnily enough, that's what I was just saying, Grace.
If I can add something too really quickly, I totally
Mhm.
agree with what Grace said and you, Jonathan, too. I do feel like Benny, although he did feel like the group was his family, at least for a lot of the books, still had like I to me still he still felt like he was an outsider to them because they had such an established like family. Like even when he talks about living in Saul's room, he doesn't call it his room. Um, so I do think that there was some points where it seemed like Benny was still separate from the group, but mostly, yes, like I think what Grace was saying of when you have been alienated most of your life and now there's a group of people who are ready to accept you as you are, it can be very easy to say, this is my new family.
Hmm. You're right, Saul. That's a very good point to pick up on. He does sort of self-isolate, not really sure if he could trust this new group of people that seemingly want to accept him so easily. Good point. Um, Now let's talk about Sam a little bit, the show's like runner. What did you guys think of Sam? And do you guys think that Sam was all bad, or was he like a little bit sympathetic?
He just seemed a little unhinged to me, but I think the fact that we got the backstory from him seeing a mermaid and then spending basically his whole entire life and fortune trying to find another mermaid and like losing his kind of his fortune, his father. Like it did bring a different element to him. Whether or not that made him sympathetic to me, I don't think so. Mostly at the end when he was like, I wish my dad wasn't dead just so that I could shove this in his face. So like he wasn't really a sympathetic character to me, mostly after hearing what like the position that he was putting the and sorry, I can't remember, and I've already returned my book. The acrobat woman, um,
Mary.
yes, thank you, Mary. Putting her through like everything, basically, like in that position when he's speaking to those gangsters, that really made me not like him. And then also the ways that he then, specifically to Benny, was talking about the rest of the crew as like products and like things to sell rather than actual human beings, rubbed me the wrong way for sure.
I liked him as a villain. I think I didn't like him as a character. Like I didn't sympathize with him, but I did like him as a villain. Still to the end, I couldn't figure out why he wore green so much and like what that was trying to signify because they very specifically describe him as looking like an avocado, which I thought was hilarious. But he did what he needed to do, but he did that at the expense of others. He tried so hard to climb to the top that he didn't care who he like stepped on to get up there. But I think that did make him a very interesting character, just not a very likable one.
Okay, Sam, I believe he was the one that he like own, I believe the I guess the I don't want to call it aquarium because I guess that wouldn't be the right thing. But I can't say my opinion of him because I can't quite remember him all the way, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I think Sam as a character was a really good villain, and I think it's just because that like I don't know, I like to call it the Moby Dick of it all, when someone's so singularly obsessed with their treasure, um that they will do anything to prove themselves correct, and that's like literally just throw everybody and anything at it. And yeah, I think he was a good villain, but just because you have a bad childhood doesn't mean you can be a bad person. And as soon as he was just like, yeah, pretty much like, yeah. So I never have a lot of sympathy for people once they become a villain in their adulthood. And I was like, you can just do better. But yeah.
Yeah, I will say Sam is an interesting case to me. He definitely was a total villain, and I'm not going to sit here and excuse his abuse of Mary slash Sonia. I can't defend that, obviously, but I do think that to some degree he is a sympathetic character, simply because he, like Grace, you were just saying, he became so obsessed with mermaids and proving that he wasn't crazy, that he lost everything. I mean, he squandered a lot of his family's fortune. If I'm not mistaken, he's like pretty broke now. He can't even afford to still fund the menagerie the way he used to be able to, um, just because of how much money he spent to get a mermaid. He also was disowned from his family and kind of became a laughingstock amongst like high society. Um, I will say that Sam, growing up rich, I do think he does still have a sense of entitlement. And I think that he believes that he is above the other menagerie members, which is funny because if you think about it, they're all outcasts in some way. Sam doesn't have any physical oddities about him, but in terms of his beliefs, people obviously think he's odd. Um, and it's kind of funny because you would think he'd be someone who could really build a community with the rest of the menagerie, but again, because he's so entitled and thinks that he's so much better than them, he really wants to separate himself from them, um, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, I don't know if I can call Sam all bad. I think that uh, I don't know. I just can't. I'm not comfortable saying all bad. Um, okay. Now, considering the fact that both Sam and Benny are outcasts in one way or another, how do you think that they're similar and how are they different?
I think considering that Sam was kind of disowned from his family, I think maybe in some way he's also trying to make the menagerie a family, but his idea of a family is just somebody who's eventually going to like disappoint you or, leave you behind. So I think that's why he wants to be included in the menagerie and the fact that there's other people there, but I think he just has a twisted version of what they will do for him, and that eventually that they will all just like leave him. Whereas Benny is just like he doesn't know his parents, but he had TT Luz to take care of him, and so he had a better idea, and he also, I think, just treated people with more kindness and rather than trying to rule with like an iron fist. So I think in that way, they both like want to belong somewhere, but Sam wants to be on top, whereas Benny is just like, I just want to be included.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think of ways that they're similar. I guess like in just more the human aspect of being human, like they're both really searching for something and maybe this like higher meaning. Um, and then maybe for Sam, it's this like proving that he's not crazy and but also being back into the position that he used to be in terms of like status. And then with Benny, it's really about just finding connection and family. But really, again, like a place in the world. I think that Benny was also looking for that in terms of right of his iron working, but maybe also his music. And I don't think that he saw his music as really something that would carry him throughout life. And I'm glad that eventually that was returned to him. I really like that aspect of the book. Um, but I agree with you, Jonathan, about because Sam grew up in privilege, he did have an expectation that people would work for him and cater to him. Um, so I definitely saw the difference between them in that way of obviously Benny being an immigrant and being a person of color and also being a gay man. He knew how to move around the world in a different way that often made it so that he had to hide. Whereas obviously Sam did not have an issue about hiding. He was bright and green everywhere he went. So like that for sure is like, very white man of him and taking every air into every room that he steps into.
Okay, for me, what I would say the difference is between Benny and Sam, I would say for me, I would think that Benny to me, he would think a little bit more before he would take actions. I would say he was more attentive. And I would say he paid attention to details also. With Sam, I feel like he moved more so off of his emotions and impulses, maybe. He reacted a little bit impulsively, I would say. So I think that he was more expressive outward, vice versa with Benny. And I just think that Benny was just a little bit more logical and a little bit more reserved than Sam would be, if I would say. I think that Sam might have been a little bit emotional and maybe intensive, I would say. I don't know. That would be my perspective on both of them.
Yeah, I really agree with everyone, and I think the contrast from like poverty and wealth, the bright colors versus the like dim colors of just wearing the same things all the time. Um and that's I just remember a part of the book whenever you know um Sam just hands him this money, and that's like the most that he made in like one day ever. It's like I think he said something about it being like a week or two's worth of work, just kind of being handed over. And so I think those are some of the biggest differences, is that entitlement and then that background of acceptance.
Yeah, you guys all did a really, really good job. I was going to say, like Soul and Grace, you were just saying, Benny's desire to assimilate while Sam wants to stick out, wearing the bright green, all the fancy clothing and whatnot. Um, I will say, I think their one similarity outside of course, both being outcasts is that they both have a deep-rooted anger. Um, Sam, I think, is more willing to show it, but I think that Benny's comes out quite a bit too. There's the times where he would scream at Sonia. There's the didn't he? Yeah, he punched a guy back in Puerto Rico, and like I think they both have a lot of anger. I would have liked to see Benny's expressed a bit more and kind of figure out what that is outside of course, the stress of being an immigrant in New York City. Um, but yeah, I guess that's their one similarity. Um, Hey, now on to the juicy part of the book. What did you guys think of the relationship between Benny and Rio?
Sorry, Benny and who?
Rio. Hopefully you heard that, Soul.
Yeah, sorry, I was just
Okay.
thinking.
Okay.
Um, Rio has game. Every time Rio said anything to Benny, I was like, oh, uh, uh, excuse, uh, I need to excuse you. And I was just like, damn, Rio. And I think it was something that was like really lovely for like Benny to hear a lot of the attributes and just someone that's just speaking from the heart and not trying to like cover things up. And so I really enjoyed their exchanges and thought it was like very cute, kicking my feet kind of situation.
I actually enjoyed their relationship. I just really like how I felt like Benny was attentive to Rio, and I feel like Rio kind of made him, look within himself. So I did like that dynamic about them. I think that they both were very mysterious in their own way. Because at one point I was just like, is Benny, into guys? I wasn't sure at first because of I think that he had an exchange with a female. I cannot remember her name in the book, but I wasn't sure. And then I wasn't sure about the mermaid either. So for them to just really come together, I just enjoyed that part. Yeah, I think I liked it.
I'm trying to find the specific passage, but there is one towards the end when Rio was sick and he's trying to convince Benny that like he's beautiful or he's handsome. Oh, yes. But he's like sick and they're in the basin and he's just like, it's time I told you. And Benny's like confused and he's like, how beautiful you are. I'm like, sir, you are like on the brink of like near death and you're still like trying to flirt with your boyfriend. I thought that was both hilarious, but also just like it made my heart like very happy that even though like he's been through all of this, he's sick, like he's losing scales, he's lost it, like his luminosity. He's still just like, you're so pretty. I thought that was so cute. I really liked their relationship. I almost wish there was a little bit of a slower burn. I think like I kind of wish that he like was mad at Benny a little bit longer so that at the end there was just more of a punch when they did like get together. But overall, I thought it was very cute. I thought that Benny tried his hardest to take care of him to try to like repay like not repay but like try to like make up for what he did because he's the one who built the tank, he's the one who helped capture them. But overall, I thought it was very cute romance, had me giggling when I was reading it.
Yeah, I love the relationship. I'm a very like sappy person, so I just love. So I love reading about it, and I also love reading about love in this more like otherworldly, like our love is beyond normal things, which is definitely how Rio spoke. Um, so I really like their relationship. I also feel like right, it was interesting to see. One, I was like, when is Benny gonna get in the water? Like, come on, like you guys wanna touch each other and get in the water. So I was really waiting for that moment, and finally it did happen, which was awesome. Um, and so the other thing, what was I saying before? Oh, I really liked that it seemed like they were always meant to meet. I thought that that was really cool, and I wish that maybe we had gotten more clarity or like learned more about the fact that it seemed like the ocean saved Benny, right? Because he talks about the hurricane and how he lost his family, but he was kind of just found in the ocean. And it seems like also Rio's mom went up to him specifically for a reason. So it does feel like Benny is also from the ocean in some ways. So I really wanted to like know more about that, but it really did seem like their love was just meant to be, which is so perfect.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Like Shiloh, you were saying, I do wish it was a bit more slow burny. Um, but I guess I'll say I wish that we would have waited longer for the characters to both say I love you. That was a little too early, in my opinion. But I don't know, maybe amongst mer people, you can feel love earlier, more deeply. Um, because for Benny, it kind of felt like very similar to his relationship with the ensemble, that he was kind of lonely and doesn't have a lot of experience and is kind of clinging to whoever will kind of, whoever's nice to him. Um, and I don't know if I liked that, but it's a romance novel, so I guess I'm willing to put aside my cynicism just a little bit. Um, but yeah, very sweet, cute relationship. Um, yeah, I wish I had a mermaid, but oh well. uh, Now, I guess to get to the book's ending, what did you all think of the book's ending?
I think throughout the book there was a lot of opposites. So we had like Lulu and Saul, who was like a very large woman and a very skinny man. Navia and Igor were very tall and short. And so the fact that it ends with fire and the whole thing about Rio, being born of water, and then there's like fire behind him, I really liked the two sides of like the opposites playing into coming into play here at the end. I definitely was not expecting everything to end like it was on fire, but I do think it was very fitting that the thing that is so different from them is also the thing that like kind of like puts like takes down the lunar park and the menagerie as it used to be.
I didn't make that connection, Shiloh. So thank you for doing that because it is really like fire versus water. I really love that. The ending was my favorite part for sure. Like I said, I did like the whole story in general, but I did think that, I mean, it was a long book, which is great because the characters got a lot of development and so on. But the like the more towards the end was definitely more fast paced, so that I really like that. Um, the thing that I would say is that I really thought that Mary or Sonia was gonna betray the menagerie. Like I thought that she was gonna go and tell Sam that this was going on, just because she, wanted to keep the family, wanted to keep Luna Park in business, so that she could also. It was her plan to eventually kind of own that. So I really did think that she was gonna betray them. I was surprised that she didn't. And so it was great that everything worked out in the end, but it really was like I was on the edge of my seat reading this book. I actually was like, oh, I'll just read it. And it was like once they were kind of, it was really like maybe 100 pages that I just sat and read in one like sitting just because the action really picked up and I could not put it down.
Yeah,
I
I think.
say, oh,
Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
okay, I'm sorry. I would say I definitely enjoyed the book. I think that I mostly enjoyed how they first, just pretty much how they met each other. I think they first started off as acquaintances. Then they developed a friendship, throughout the course of the book, and then they became lovers. And then I just feel like ultimately it was just like them meeting each other. I feel like kind of made them, I guess, be more of themselves, maybe more so with Benny anyway. And even with Rio, because ultimately Rio was captured inside of a tank. He was in captivity. Who knows how long he would have survived there. It wasn't the best healthy life for him. So had he not met Benny, then, he probably still would have been captured there in the circus there with the people, just being, show and tell. So I feel like them meeting each other, them falling in love, and them sailing off in the sea is what I take from it, that hopefully they're still together in the sea. I don't know, but I'm thinking so in my mind.
Yeah, I really liked the ending. The epilogue was just really cute and like one of my favorites. Because Matthias was one of my favorite characters in here, and it was just really cool seeing the like the little note and that he like reached back out to everybody. And what I also really liked about this book is because I've been teaching myself Spanish for like the past 3 years or so. So as I was going through here, I was like, "Oh, I know that word," or "Oh, I don't know that," and then started like looking at the back of the book and the glossary, and it was just like a really fun overarching experience. And I was able to talk to some of my friends who are from Puerto Rico, and it was just a wonderful time, a wonderful book, and I was very satisfied at the ending. It didn't leave me wanting, I guess.
To kind of go back to what Saul was saying, they have the menagerie had this saying, and I can't remember it now, and I don't remember what page the pages it's on, but they kept saying about how like they're like a family, like they're together for it. So I was also waiting for like the shoe to drop, like who's going to be the one to betray them. So I was kind of like suspicious about a couple different people in the with it, yes, with it for it, never against it. So I was kind of suspicious of everybody at first, but then I think towards the end I realized like no, they're just really nice people and they like mean the best out of everybody. So I am kind of glad that it didn't end up in a betrayal, but I was also part of me was kind of hoping that there'd be some sort of dramatic twist. But I am happy with how it ended because I think if there was a twist, I would be upset because I just like the character so much. I didn't want to have to hate anybody else except for Sam.
Yeah, I agree. I like the ending. Like I've said a few times now, it was predictable, but that's not always a bad thing. Predictability can be relaxing and nice. And it was in this case too. Um, to address what you were all saying, yeah, I also thought there was going to be some kind of twist. I didn't know if I believed that Sonia was going to betray the menagerie, but I did think that maybe she and Sam were more in cahoots than she was letting on. It just was very odd to me that everything that like Sam had over Benny was all like Sonia telling Benny's business, which I thought was kind of odd. Um, I don't know. She's like that annoying little sister that like you really don't want your parents to know certain things, but she just like blurts things out. I was like, bro, please shut up. You're not helping anybody. But yeah. Yeah. But I guess she was good in the end, so sure. Um, Now, Saul, you touched on this a little bit, and I kind of want us to circle back to that. Do you guys think that Benny becomes Mur at the end of the book, or do you think he always was, and the ending is just him accepting his true nature?
I don't think that he always were. I think that he was the whole time because in the beginning of the book, he had asthma and Rio, I guess, helped him, heal all of that. But then as I believe like right before the ending of the book, I believe he heals him of that. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. But they swim off in the ocean. How could they swim off in the ocean if he had asthma? So I feel like Rio healed him and they are somewhere together in Mermaid Land somewhere together. So I do believe that Benny became a merman too.
I think for me, it was, I guess I think he's like a hybrid, because there was that story that Rio told about that other like couple of like the merman and the woman that fell in love, and that the merman asked maybe the currents to grant her the ability to live in the ocean or something like that. So I feel like when the hurricane happened, maybe the currents gave Benny the ability to breathe underwater, or have these capabilities so that he could survive the hurricane in Puerto Rico, for whatever reason that might be, and he was the chosen one for whatever reason. Um, and so I did find it interesting. What Sierra was saying about the asthma thing, and maybe it is right. Like maybe he couldn't breathe correctly because he really was meant to breathe underwater. Um, so I did think about that too, and found that interesting, of like just the breathing patterns that Rio showed him, and how that helped him out a lot. Because in the end, when they were both underwater, it seemed like maybe Rio was breathing into him, and then like again granting him these powers that maybe he already had, and maybe Rio was unlocking them for him again.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I reread the ending a couple times to kind of see what like what I felt about that. And I think there was just a lot of like different clues that kind of lead you in a couple different directions. And so the direction that I kind of leaned in on was that, yeah, maybe it was more of like a hybrid, and that's why he was the only one that was found during the flood, and that's why he had asthma. And I think it was Rio that, like sucked the blood out of his lungs, and then they could breathe, and they were in the tides together afterwards. So yeah, I kind of felt like it was more of like a hybrid situation, that he was always meant to be in the water and then was landlocked, and then it's almost like Rio set that side of himself free.
There's one of the last lines that Rio says in on his perspective is son of Neptune. So I'm wondering if maybe because he also introduced the idea of like that hybrid, that he kind of had a feeling that Benny was kind of like the result of a human and a mermaid or merman a mer getting together, but they don't exactly like say it in black and white. So I do think it could be up for interpretation, but I think I like the idea of Benny like being kind of like a bridge between the human world and then the mer world, and he's kind of like stuck also in this in between kind of area, because I think that would add a little bit more uniqueness to him that I like, and to keep him a little bit more like ambiguous, but they don't exactly say, so it's kind of like up to the reader. But definitely my interpretation is that he is a hybrid.
Can I just say, wow, that you guys are saying that he's the hybrid? Why did I not think about that? I'm so sorry. My head is like popping off every time someone says, I'm like a hybrid. Okay, maybe I need to read the end of the book again.
Yeah, I had the exact same thoughts. I do think that Benny was born Mer, or like you've all said, hybrid. He's a descendant of the human and Mer person coupling. Um, and yeah, like Shiloh, you were saying, son of Neptune. And I remember Benny consistently saying that his asthma, it didn't feel like he needed air. It felt like he was thirsty. So yeah, I think that being in the water obviously satisfies that thirst. And funnily enough, once he begins to learn how to swim, he no longer has asthma. I think that's his body like saying, okay, this is what we needed is this water. Um, so yeah. Now I was kind of curious though, like is this fate or destiny, or is this all kind of happening? Because Benny says that his Titi Luz believed a lot in like the spiritual world, and towards the end of her life, she wasn't fully convinced that he was human. And she kept pointing him towards New York City even before he realized that's where he wanted to go. Um, so I wonder if she kind of made some sort of deal with the currents when she rescued him in the hurricane to eventually lead him to New York City so he can eventually meet Rio. Um, and yeah, and then Rio says something like he thought the currents had abandoned him, but maybe they didn't abandon him. Maybe he was supposed to be here at this time to meet Benny. Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess I'm landing on the idea that it was fate, but I would have liked that explored just a little bit more from the author. Uh, okay, and lastly, I guess I'll ask, since the author makes a point to blend so much true history with fantasy, um, do you guys think that was done well, or do you think that we didn't need all of the true events to make the story good?
I think I'm not as well versed in my history to know which events were like the author pulled from history. But at least I think it was a good enough blend to where I didn't notice it. So I think that in that aspect, I'm gonna call it good enough for me, who's not as well versed in history as I probably should be.
I would say it was pretty good. I enjoyed like those little facts in there about, real factual things or history sometimes. Now, I don't want to go into a whole history lesson per se, but I do, I don't mind having some historical facts in it. But I do think that it was well written in regards to um with the history and the storytelling in there as well.
Yeah, I like the history aspect. It reminded me of that other book that we read that was reimagining of The Great Gatsby. Like it was kind of around the same era, so it reminded me of that. And then what I also liked, there was also some things that I think were just like fun to read and like again be set because when they kept calling Puerto Rico, I was like, what? Like, is that just what they used to call it? I was really confused about that in the beginning. And then I also had a hard time, and I didn't even look it up, but I had a hard time when Benny was talking about like he would strip down to his union suit. I was like, what is that? Like, is that old timey underwear? Like, I was confused about that.
Yeah, I love when books interweave historical like accurate things that happen to kind of like help you learn and remember things. And reading the author's note in the back about the historical timeline and like what happened and how the author like wove in like historical accuracy with this like fun fiction aspect of like like the a merman being in a in a container like causing like these heat waves and stuff like that when it was in reality something else. So I loved it and I felt like I learned a lot more, and because of it it made me kind of dive into different types of like histories of Puerto Rico. And yeah, I just think it's really fun, and I love whenever authors do it well, and I feel like they did it well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the historical context was definitely a fun addition. Before I finished the book, I just kind of assumed a lot of it was just storytelling, but based on the author's acknowledgments and endnotes, essentially everything that doesn't involve the mermaid, obviously, actually happened in New York City in the 1910s. More so 1911, I believe, is the exact year when all these events take place. But yeah, that was like very cool to me. I watched a few interviews with the author, as I always do, after reading their book. And she was saying like she went to like the New York City record office and like pulled essentially everything that she could find about what they used to call freak shows or menageries, shows of oddities, etc. Disastrous events that happened in 1911 and so on and so forth. And she even talks about she went to this thing. I can't remember the exact name of it, but essentially it's like a mer con with like a bunch of people who like dress up as mermaids and kind of meet. It's like a Comic Con but for mermaids. And she like put a tail on and like talk to people to kind of get like what makes this mermaid fantasy so alive for people who do actually believe in it and do want to live their lives as mermaids. Um, all of that was like super cool to me. So yeah, really, really good stuff on the author's part. Um, yeah. And I guess before we wrap up, I will say I also found out from the author this is the first book in a four-part series. Every book is not going to focus on Rio and Benny. It's going to be a different characters in each story, but they're all going to be focused on the elements. So this is our water story, and our next story is going to be air. I don't know if that's going to be angels or bird people or whatever, but that's what's coming next. I can assume we all want to read that, but just to confirm, are folks interested in continuing more of these stories, or do they want to stop here?
Yeah, I
I
would be down to continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to see how the other elements are going to be tied into this, but I loved the writing in this book. And if there's more illustrations in their other books and their other elements, I'd be more than happy to pick up another copy.
Yes.
It's fine
Yeah,
with me. I don't mind.
cool. Yeah, I can definitely imagine that there's going to be more illustrations in each story. Also, I don't know who knows this. I didn't know this before looking up more on the author, but she's responsible for a lot of the like queer illustrated covers that we have today. She's done a lot of work for like Casey McQuiston, boyfriend material, husband material, all that stuff. I don't read those like rom-com books, no offense, but uh, if that's what you're into, a lot of those covers are done by her. So that was also pretty cool to see her stab at writing a story as opposed to just illustrating a cover for one. Um, okay, well, that's all that I have in my notes. Before we move on, does anyone else have any last minute burning questions, comments, concerns, anything? Going once, going twice. Okay. Now, before we move on to our possible books for next month, um, Sierra, since you did not get the prize when you played your game, I want us to play again because I do want to give someone that prize. Are you guys down to play a quick round again?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Shiloh, cool. Cool. Grace, I know you weren't here, so let me just explain the game. It's called Person, Place, or Thing. Essentially, how it works is one of you will volunteer, not Sierra because Sierra is already gone, will volunteer to be the guesser. And first, you will ask us, are you a person, a place, or a thing? And then after you have your answer to that, you will have 5 minutes through only asking yes or no questions to figure out what, who, or where you are. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry. As we play, it will make more sense. Okay, so who wants to volunteer?
I'll volunteer.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna send you to a breakout room, if I can figure that out. Give me just a minute. Um, I think you have to accept the invite and then you should be able to just go to the breakout room. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, guys, do we want to make Shiloh a person, place, or a thing?
Ooh. Uh, uh, I don't know. Thing sounds
Make her a place.
place.
Right.
Puerto Rico. I'm just
Ooh.
I would just say a place. Make her a
Don't make it
place.
too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
should we
she's
make them a
good.
place?
She's good. She's probably
Place.
gonna guess it.
Yeah.
Place. Okay,
Yeah.
They,
so
yeah.
what place do you guys want? I was thinking London Bridge. I don't know why that's in my mind for some reason, but
What about Olympus Mons? They probably won't get that, but
what the hell is that?
that's the largest
Okay.
volcano on Mars.
What about the ocean? Or she thinks she's gonna guess it because it's about the book.
Mariana
Or
Trench.
no, that's too easy.
Okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
okay, so let's zero in on something before I bring them back in here.
London Bridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bridge?
That's so
Okay.
hard. Okay.
Really?
London Bridge is falling down. So we could also just like, are you a song? Yes.
I'm gonna look up.
Okay. All right,
So
let's
I'm
do
going to
that
give
one.
them an easy one. I'm going to tell them that they're both a place and a thing because I think London Bridge counts as both. And remember, we can only answer yes or no questions, nothing else. Okay, I'm going to bring them back in here. Give me just a second. Okay, Philo, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Let me set my timer. Okay, you ready to start?
Yes.
Okay, and remember, your first question should be, are you a person, place, or a thing?
Got it.
Go.
Okay. Am I a person, place, or thing?
I will say that you're both a place and a thing.
Okay. Am I a place in the United States?
No.
No.
Am I a place in the real world?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, one more time.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh. I'm a place and a thing. Am I an amusement park?
No.
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 Okay. Uh, not in the United States. Am I in the continent of Europe?
Yes.
Someone else answer that. I'm bad at
Yeah.
geography.
Yes, but like
Yeah.
I guess that's too much to say, but yes.
Um, am I one of the seven wonders of the world?
No.
No.
I don't think so, no.
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 Okay, so I'm not the Great Wall of China.
Mm.
Uh, now that I'm being put on the spot, now I'm blanking. Um,
You're on the right track.
okay, someplace in Europe. Uh, am I like a body of water?
No.
No.
I'm gonna feel so dumb when I know the answer.
Keep
uh,
asking. Keep asking.
am I like a mountain?
No.
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 Okay, I mean, I guess that would also be the United States. What's something specifically in Europe? Um, am I a city?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh,
No one else chimed in, so I got nervous.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, like I don't know. Are you a city? Maybe you're named after a city?
Yeah.
am I in Rome?
No.
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 Mm. Okay, am I a natural thing like a mountain or body
No.
water? Okay.
No.
No.
Am I a man-made structure?
Yes.
Am I
Yes.
the Leaning Tower of Pisa?
No.
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 Okay. Am I one of the castles in Great Britain?
No.
No.
Dang
No,
it.
but you're getting
Right
closer.
track. Yeah, right
Mm-hmm.
track.
Uh,
You have 2 minutes.
no, I don't know anything about Europe. Why did I- I don't know.
Do you want a hint?
Yes, please.
It's a very, very popular tourist attraction.
Am I Big Ben?
Close. No.
No, yeah, getting closer.
Dang it.
Yes.
Okay.
You're burning hot.
Oh God, am I Notre Dame?
No.
No.
Okay. Closer with
Not
Big
that famous.
Oh no, I'm gonna be so mad. Uh,
Try.
I'm so I can't think of anything else in Europe. Am I uh I'm city. Am I just London?
Yes. You're so close.
Close.
Oh.
No.
No.
You're right there.
Right there.
I don't know any other cities.
No.
It's
Okay. No.
It's in
Just-
London.
It's in London. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a yes.
A thing in London. What else is in London besides Big Ben?
You're so close. Please get it.
I can see, I feel it. I feel it.
Your name can be sang,
Mm-hmm.
can be sung.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Your name can be sung.
Song.
I guess to make that easier for you, there's a very, very popular early 2000s song about you. Pop song.
Pop song. Wait.
Pop song.
Okay.
London Bridge?
Yes!
Yeah!
Yes!
Got it. Oh, perfect! Oh my gosh, you're second away.
Yeah, I mean, that was right on the dot. You got it right on the 5-minute mark. Did the song give it away, London Bridge?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I was like,
I know.
am I supposed to
that
hum
song
Fergie
now.
or yeah? I can hum it, but I was like, that'd be too easy for you.
Yeah.
No, oh my gosh, I had that album and I played it so much.
I feel like all baddies had that album, Fergie.
Well,
Yeah.
only if they were Fergalicious, Jonathan.
Exactly. Everybody can be Fergalicious, unfortunately. Or glamorous.
Duchess,
Yeah. Okay, let me gear up something for you for your prize. Shiloh, just a second. So, as usual, I'm going to post the links for both of our potential books for next month, which we typically would vote on as a group. But, Shiloh, since you guessed it, your prize is you just get to pick. You decide our next month's book.
Okay. Okay, let me take a look at these. Ooh, okay, I've already seen one about witches. That's always up my alley. Okay. Ooh, okay. I do think because it's about witches, I do think An Unlikely Coven is going to be my pick.
Okay. Well, everyone, that's our book for next month, An Unlikely Coven by who's the author? By A.M. Kavita. Yeah, that's the author. Okie dokie. Hope you enjoyed that.
That was fun.
I will say,
very stressful.
if this book sucks, Shiloh, that's your ex.
No, it is higher rated than Missing
Yeah.
Museum, so
So you better cross your fingers.
I am at my toes.
Okay. So as usual, last Sunday of the month, which would be April 26th, that worked for folks?
Yes.
Okie dokie. And then usual time, 12 p.m. PST, and whatever time it was for you guys.
It is that time for me now.
Cool. That work for you, Shiloh, too?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, well, I'll put us down for an unlikely coven on April 26th at 12 p.m. PST. And with that, that's it. Congrats, Shiloh. You have survived your first meeting.
Yay, this is so much fun. Thank you guys so much.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Nice to
Yeah,
meet you
super good
all.
to meet you.
Yes, it was nice meeting you. Lots of fun for sure.
hmm Well, to sign off, I'll give my usual spiel. Thank you all for coming. Again, like everyone said, this is always a lot of fun. I hope I can see you all next month to discuss our new book. But until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank
Yeah, of
Bye,
you.
course.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.